Hi, welcome back to the next story. This one is titled Wilson's Bridge. And this is from the same collection of short stories of Ruskin Bond, which we have been reading through, and this is almost the end of the book. This one is Wilson's Bridge, and it starts The old wooden bridge has gone, and today an iron suspension bridge straddles the Bhagirathi as it rushes down the gorge below Gangotri. But villagers will tell you that you can still hear the hooves of Wilson's horse as he gallops across the bridge he had built 150 years ago. At, at the time, people were skeptical of its safety, and so to prove its sturdiness, he rode across it again and again and again. Parts of the old bridge can still be seen on the far bank of the river, and the legend of Wilson and his pretty hill bride Gulabi is still well known in this region. I had joined some friends in the old forest rest house near the river. There were the Rays, recently married, and the Dattas, married many years. The younger Rays quarreled frequently. The older Dattas looked on with more amusement than concern. I was a part of their group and yet something of an outsider. As a single man, I was a person of no importance. And as a marriage counselor, I wouldn't have been of any use to them. Yes. I spent most of my time wandering along the river banks or exploring the thick deodar and oak forests that covered the slopes of the mountain. It was these trees that had made a fortune for Wilson and his patron, the Raja of Tehri. Oh, Tehri Gerwal, the Raja of Tehri. They had exploited the great forests to the full, floating huge logs downstream to the timber yards in the plains, exploiting the forests. Returning to the rest house late one evening, I was halfway across the bridge when I saw a figure at the other end emerging from the mist. Presently, I made out a woman wearing the plain dhoti of the hills. Then her hair fell loose over her shoulders. She appeared not to see me and reclined against the rattling of the bridge, looking down at the rushing waters far below. And then, to my amazement and horror, she climbed over the railing and threw herself into the river. I ran forward, calling out, but I reached the railing only to see her fall into the foaming waters below, where she was carried swiftly downstream. The watchman's cabin stood a little way off. The door was open. The watchman, Ram Singh, was reclining on his bed, smoking a hookah. Someone has just jumped off the bridge, I said breathlessly. She is being swept down the river. The watchman was unperturbed. Gulabi again, he said, and almost to himself, and then to me, did you see her clearly? Yes, a woman with long, loose hair, but I didn't see her face very clearly. It must have been Gulabi, only a ghost. My dear sir, nothing to be alarmed about. Every now and then, someone sees her throw herself into the river. Sit down, he said, gesturing toward a battered old armchair. Be comfortable and I'll tell you all about it, all about her. I was far from comfortable, but I listened to Ram Singh tell me the tale of Gulabi's suicide. After making me a glass of hot, sweet tea, he launched into a long, rambling account of how Wilson, a British adventurer seeking his fortune, had been hunting musk deer when he encountered Gulabi on the path from her village. The girl's grey-green eyes and peach blossom complexion enchanted him, and he went out of his way to get to know her people. Was he in love with her, or did he simply find her beautiful and desirable? We shall never really know. In the course of his travels and adventures, he had known many women, but Gulabi was different. Childlike and ingenuous, he decided he would marry her. The humble family to which she belonged had no objection. Hunting had its limitations, and Wilson found it more profitable to trap the region's great forest wealth. In a few years, he had made a fortune. He built a large timbered house at Harsil, another in Dehradun, and a third in Mussoorie. Gulabi had all she could have wanted, including two robust little sons. When he was away on work, she looked after their children and their large apple orchard at Harsil. And then came the evil day when Wilson met the Englishwoman, Ruth, on the Mussoorie Mall and decided that she should have a share of his affections and his wealth. A fine home was provided for her too. The time he spent at Harsil with Gulabi and his children dwindled. Business affairs, he was now one of the owners of a bank. Business affairs kept him in the fashionable hill resort. He was a popular host and took his friends and associates on shikar parties in the dune. Gulabi brought up her children in village style. She heard stories of Wilson's dalliance with the Mussoorie woman, and on one of her rare visits, she confronted him and voiced her resentment, demanding that he leave the other woman. He brushed her aside and told her not to listen to idle gossip. When he turned away from her, she picked up the flintlock pistol that lay on the on that lay on the gun table and fired one shot at him. The bullet missed him and shattered her looking glass. Gulabi ran out of the house, through the orchard, and into the forest, then down the steep path to the bridge built by Wilson only 2 or 3 years before. When he had recovered his composure, he mounted his horse and came looking for her. Sorry. It was too late. She had already thrown herself off the bridge into the swirling waters far below. Her body was found a mile or two downstream, caught between some rocks. That was the tale that Ram Singh told me, with various flourishes and interpolations of his own. I thought it would make a good story to tell my friends that evening before the fireside in the rest house. They found this story fascinating, but when I told them I had seen Gulabi's ghost, they thought I was doing a little embroidering of my own. Mrs. Datta thought it was a tragic tale. Young Mrs. Ray thought Gulabi had been very silly. She was a simple girl, opined Mrs. Datta. She responded in the only way she knew. Money can't buy happiness, said Mr. Ray, and no, said Mrs. Datta. but it can buy you a great many comforts. Mrs. Ray wanted to talk of other things, so I changed the subject. It can get a little confusing for a bachelor who must spend the evening with two married couples. There are undercurrents which he is aware of but not equipped to deal with. I would walk across the bridge quite often after that. It was busy with traffic during the day, but after dusk there were only a few vehicles on the road and seldom any pedestrians. A mist rose from the gorge below and obscured the far end of the bridge. I preferred walking there in the evening, half expecting, half hoping to see Gulabi's ghost again. It was her face that I really wanted to see. Would she still be as beautiful as she was fabled to be? It was on the evening before our departure that something happened that would haunt me for a long, long time afterwards. There was a feeling of restiveness in our days as our days drew to a close. The rays, so I'll take a little rest here. My eyes are tired. Okay. The rays had apparently made up their differences, although they weren't talking very much. Mr. Datta was anxious to get back to his office. Sorry.